it's me again. Welcome to my channel. If you find my previous video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This time, we're gonna talk about how critics analyze and examine the story of 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So, let's get started. The first criticism that I find reliable is from Francisco Diaz Buzo. According to TED-Ed, Francisco Diaz Buzo is a member of the New York Democratic Socialists of America. He used to criticize literary books. Francisco Diaz Buzo critiques a novel because of its jagged or choppy narrative, which he finds difficult to follow. While the plot is told in a linear method, he claims that the excessive information disrupt the flow, resulting in what he calls jump cuts, comparable to poorly developed movies. These sudden transitions, combined with the repetition of events, people, and storylines, resulting in a boring reading experience that may bore readers. D.S. Busso considers the middle section of the work particularly dull, since the excessive detail and repetition make it difficult to remain involved. Another criticism from Dan White, a journalist and novelist whose work has appeared in the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, and Backpacker magazine, calls the novel amazing and rates it a perfect 5 over 5. However, he recommends that readers engage it with complete concentration and effort in order to fully understand the story, as the novel's complicated storyline can be difficult to follow. The work delves at the cyclical nature of history and human existence, namely how history repeats itself and how patterns and traits are passed down through generations. The Buendia family, central to the plot, is locked in a cycle of seclusion and sadness, echoing broader themes of individuals and families struggling to escape the past. The book has its conflict and debate, so it has been challenged or banned by people who object to its offensive language, disrespect for religious and political authority, and sexually explicit, emotionally disturbing scenes and themes, including war, death, incest, and implications of the occult. In 1986, it was purged from Wasco, California's Union High School book list because the Nobel Prize-winning author's book has seen as garbage being passed off as literature. They called the book 100 Years of Reading. Even though there's discomfort that some readers feel about 100 Years of Solitude, Wasco, California's Union High School banned it, and the ironic nickname of the book 100 Years of Reading still emphasizes the novel's lasting significance as to continue to elicit discussion and admiration around the globe. Despite critics' objections to its offensive language, disrespect for authority, and explicit content, calling it garbage being passed off as literature. Notwithstanding its restriction, the novel is a potent and enduring piece of world literature because it explores difficult realities. In my previous applied literary criticism, I used magical realism and historical criticism. In magical realism, the combination of magical elements and realistic settings explores the essence of reality and challenges traditional narrative structures. On the other hand, in historical criticism, the book contextualizes the story within the political and socio-economic crisis of Latin America, investigating how history shapes personal and societal destinies. In my recent exploration of the book, I used a structuralism approach because both Diaz Busso and White discuss the novel's narrative intricacy, with Diaz Busso emphasizing the choppy and fragmented structure. I use structuralism to study how the novel's form and language contribute to its content. Shifts in time, geography, and perspective call it question storytelling's typical linear structure, which may represent the malleability of history and memory. This fragmented narrative portrays the disjointedness of the characters' experiences and the chaotic flow of history, as the Buendia family is unable to escape the cyclical patterns of their fate, as analyzed using the structuralist approach. This method would concentrate on how the order of events and perspectives influences the reader's comprehension of the concepts. Also, I use psychoanalytic critique to examine the Buendia family's psychological issues and recurring patterns. The Buendia family's isolation and despair may stem from repressed impulses, unresolved familiar trauma, or collective unconsciousness. Freud's theories of the unconscious and repression might be applied to the characters' struggles with their fates, as they appear to be trapped in a loop of repeating mistakes and emotions down the generations. Psychoanalytic critics might investigate how the character's psychological states, such as a fixation with solitude or an inability to break free from patterns of behavior, influence the narrative's direction. That will be all. Thank you for listening.